Admiral Vexthor of the Xalaxian Exploration Fleet had seen many species across the galaxy in his 3 centuries of service, but none had prepared him for the humans. His first encounter with them came during a routine survey of what the Xalaxians had designated as Sector 47b, a seemingly unremarkable region of space containing a yellow dwarf star and its planetary system. The third planet showed signs of civilization, but the atmospheric pollution and electromagnetic interference suggested a pre-FTL species still struggling with their industrial age. What they found instead would change the galaxy forever. Admiral. His science officer, Naira, hummed through her respiratory chambers. The readings are unusual. The species appears to be bipedal endotherms, but their physical characteristics are unlike anything in our database. Vexthor's 4 eyes blinked in sequence as he studied the holographic display. The creatures were tall, mostly hairless except for patches on their heads, and moved with an unsettling efficiency. But it was their eyes that truly disturbed him, forward-facing predator eyes, set in faces that reminded him of ancient Xalaxian death masks. Their persistence hunters, Lieutenant Krall whispered from his station, his scales shifting to a pale blue of distress. Look at their thermal regulation system. They can pursue prey until it collapses from exhaustion. And those arms, they're built for throwing weapons. The bridge fell silent as they watched the surveillance feeds from their cloaked probes. The humans, as they called themselves, had spread across their world in vast urban networks. Despite their technological limitations, they had managed to survive multiple global wars, environmental disasters, and natural catastrophes that would have ended most species. Their history archives indicate they rose to dominance by outlasting larger, stronger predators, Naira reported, her voice trembling. They don't just kill for food, they reshape entire ecosystems to suit their needs. They've driven thousands of species to extinction simply by existing. Vexthor felt his primary heart skip a beat as he watched a human construction crew demolish an entire hillside with casual efficiency. These weren't just tool users, they were environment shapers on a scale that few species ever achieved. Sir, his communications officer interrupted, we're detecting unusual radiation signatures from their lunar satellite. They've discovered our probe network. Before Vexthor could respond, the humans did something unprecedented. Rather than panic or attack, they began broadcasting a simple mathematical sequence. Prime numbers, followed by basic geometric proofs. They knew they were being watched, and they were reaching out. They want to talk, Vexthor realized with a mixture of awe and dread. They've spotted advanced life watching them, and their first instinct is to establish communication. The next few days revealed more surprises. The humans had already theorized the possibility of faster-than-light travel, had detailed plans for colonizing their solar system, and had developed sophisticated models of possible alien civilizations. They weren't just surviving. They were preparing for their inevitable expansion into space. When the Galactic Council received Vexthor's report, the reaction was immediate and unprecedented. For the first time in its 100,000-year history, the Council voted unanimously to establish a containment protocol around a pre-FTL species. But they were too late. Within months, human scientists had reverse-engineered enough from the recovered probe fragments to make theoretical breakthroughs in quantum physics. Within a year, they had working prototypes of gravity manipulation devices. The species that had gone from first powered flight to landing on their moon in less than 70 years was now on the brink of joining the galactic community. We've made a terrible mistake, Vexthor told the Council during an emergency session. We didn't discover them, we challenged them. Every attempt to contain them has only accelerated their development. They don't just adapt to obstacles, they thrive on them. The final proof came when a human vessel appeared in the middle of the Council session, having somehow tracked the quantum communications network. The ship's design was crude by galactic standards, but it incorporated innovations that the Council's best engineers claimed were theoretically impossible. The message they broadcast was simple. Thank you for the inspiration. We're ready to join the conversation. As Vexthor watched the human representatives stride confidently into the council chamber, he realized that the galaxy would never be the same. The apex predators of Earth weren't just joining galactic society. They were about to revolutionize it. The humans had arrived, and the shadows they cast would stretch across the stars themselves. The Carrick swarm arrived without warning, pouring through a quantum rift near the Centauri Gate hub. Even the oldest spacefaring races had no defense against their organic ships that seemed to consume energy itself. Within days, 3 major trading posts and a mining colony fell silent. Fleet Commander Rena Blackwood stood on the bridge of the Earth vessel Tenacity, watching the tactical display with the focused intensity that made other species so uncomfortable. Humans' predatory gaze had become legendary in the 5 years since first contact, but now that same trait was proving invaluable. The swarm doesn't just attack, she explained to the gathered alien commanders via quantum link. They're displaying hunting patterns. And we humans know hunting patterns. The Zylaxian and Meridian representatives shifted uncomfortably. Having humans as allies was still a new concept, but the swarm had left them no choice. Traditional energy weapons and shields proved useless against the biological ships that seemed to absorb everything thrown at them. Look here, Blackwood highlighted a section of space. They're not just consuming energy, they're herding civilian ships toward their larger vessels. This isn't random destruction, it's harvesting. Lieutenant James Okonjo, the ship's tactical officer, pulled up detailed scans of the swarm's movement patterns. His ancestors had studied lion behavior in the African savannas, and he recognized the same predatory efficiency in the swarm's formations. They're using classical pack hunting techniques, he announced. The smaller ships are like wolves dragging prey toward an ambush. But every hunting strategy has a weakness. The human solution was characteristically unconventional. Rather than trying to destroy the swarm ships directly, they proposed turning the hunters' instincts against them. The plan made the alien commanders deeply uncomfortable. It seemed too primitive, too brutal. But they had run out of alternatives. Operation Mongoose is a go, Blackwood transmitted to the assembled fleet. The name meant nothing to the aliens, but every human crew member understood the reference to Earth's clever predator that successfully hunted cobras. The trap was elegant in its simplicity. Humans had learned early in their evolution that even apex predators could be lured into fatal mistakes by appealing to their hunting instincts. The fleet sacrificed 3 derelict capital ships, making them appear damaged but valuable targets. When the swarm took the bait, they found themselves caught in humanity's true weapon, a massive field of modified mining drones. Each drone carried a payload of simple water ice, flash-frozen, and accelerated to relativistic speeds. The swarm's energy-absorbing capabilities meant nothing against kinetic impacts that transferred their energy directly into the organic hulls. Interesting fact about Earth predators, Blackwood transmitted as the drones activated. They never developed defenses against high-speed impacts because nothing on Earth could move that fast. Some problems can't be solved by evolution. The battle that followed would be studied in military academies across the galaxy for centuries. The humans turned space itself into a weapon, using gravitational slingshots to accelerate their projectiles even faster. When the swarm adapted and began dodging, the humans adjusted their strategy again. Release the bees, Blackwood ordered, triggering the launch of thousands of tiny autonomous drones. The design was inspired by Earth's most efficient pollinators, programmed to swarm and overwhelm the Carrick ship's sensory organs. The alien commanders watched in astonishment as the mighty swarm was gradually picked apart by machines that barely qualified as weapons. But the true shock came after the battle. While other species celebrated, the humans were already analyzing the swarm's remains. Within hours, they had proposals for adapting the organic technology for peaceful purposes. The swarm's energy absorption could revolutionize solar power collection, Dr. Aishani Patil explained to the council. Their biological computing could advance medical science by centuries. Even their quantum rift drive, properly understood, could make FTL travel accessible to developing worlds. The galaxy had expected warriors, and they certainly found them. But they discovered something far more significant, a species that could look at their deadliest enemies and see opportunities for progress. This is why we survived Earth, Blackwood later explained to Admiral Vexthor over a drink in the officers' lounge. Everything that tried to kill us became a teacher. Every challenge became an opportunity. We're not just predators. We're problem solvers. The Admiral's scales shifted to a deep purple of contemplation as he considered her words. The humans had proven themselves as warriors, yes, but their true strength lay in their ability to adapt and innovate. They didn't just win battles, they learned from them. As news of the victory spread, the galaxy's perception of humanity began to shift. The fear remained. How could it not, when faced with beings who could turn anything into a weapon? But now it was tempered with something new: respect. The humans had arrived as objects of terror, but they were becoming something far more interesting, indispensable allies in a galaxy that desperately needed their unique perspective. And this was only the beginning. The hegemony's warships hung in high orbit above Proxima Colony like a sword of Damocles. Their crystalline hulls, each the size of a small moon, refracted starlight in dazzling patterns. They were beautiful, in the same way that a supernova was beautiful, and potentially just as deadly. Their technology is at least 3 centuries ahead of ours, Strategic Commander Wei Zhao observed from the bridge of the stealth corvette Night Whisper. The ship, like its crew of 40, was a product of humanity's shadow warfare doctrine. Its hull absorbed radar, light, and even neutrino emissions, making it effectively invisible to conventional sensors. The hegemony had appeared 6 months ago, claiming ownership of all systems within 50 light-years of their space. Their technological superiority was absolute. Shields that could shrug off antimatter detonations, weapons that could crack planets, and computational systems that seemed to border on magic. Superior technology doesn't guarantee victory, Lieutenant Amara Okafor noted, her fingers dancing over the tactical console. The most advanced lion can still be outsmarted by a clever primate. As if to emphasize her point, she pulled up historical data from Earth's military history: Vietnamese tunnels, Bedouin raiders, guerrilla warfare across 1,000 battlefields. The hegemony had given humanity an ultimatum: surrender their colonies or face extinction. They expected compliance. After all, their scanners showed them every human military asset in the sector. Or rather, they showed what humanity wanted them to see. Operation Shadow Dance is ready, Joe transmitted through the quantum-encrypted network that connected the hidden fleet. The plan was quintessentially human, a combination of deception, psychological warfare, and precisely applied violence. The first phase began with a seemingly desperate diplomatic mission. Ambassador Rashid approached the hegemony flagship in an unarmed shuttle, broadcasting messages of peaceful intent. The hegemony, contemptuous of what they saw as primitive diplomacy, allowed him to dock. What they didn't realize was that every human delegation member carried billions of engineered microorganisms in their bloodstream. As they breathed, talked, and touched surfaces, these invisible agents began their work, not as weapons, but as infiltrators. The microbes, based on Earth's extremophile bacteria, were designed to inhabit the crystalline matrices of hegemony technology. They didn't damage anything. They simply existed, multiplied, and created microscopic imperfections in the otherwise perfect structures. Phase 2. Zhao ordered after a week of apparent diplomatic stalemate. Across the sector, human ships began behaving erratically, failing to maintain formation, broadcasting conflicting orders, showing signs of command structure breakdown. To the hegemony, it appeared that the primitive humans were cracking under pressure. The truth was far more elaborate. While the visible human fleet descended into apparent chaos, the real operation was happening in the void between stars. Hundreds of stealth ships like the Night Whisper had crept into position, carrying humanity's real response to the ultimatum. "They see us as prey," Zhao explained to his crew. "So let's show them what Earth's prey species learned about survival." The attack, when it came, wasn't marked by energy beams or missile salvos. Instead, the stealth fleet released clouds of engineered spores, descendants of Earth's most resilient fungi. These spores were attracted to the specific frequency of light that hegemony crystals emitted, coating their hulls in a living shroud that grew deeper by the hour. The hegemony, whose entire civilization was built on the perfection of their crystalline technology, faced an enemy they couldn't comprehend. Their sensors, dulled by bacterial colonies, missed the approaching human ships. Their perfect hulls, now marred by organic growth, began experiencing cascading system failures. "Nature is messy," Zhou transmitted to the hegemony admiral as the mighty ships began losing power. "Perfect crystals don't survive long in an organic universe, but life adapts." The final phase was purely psychological. As their systems failed, the hegemony crews received transmissions, not threats or demands, but stories. Tales of Earth's history, of empires that fell to determined resistance, of apex predators outsmarted by clever prey, of the countless times humanity had faced superior forces and survived through ingenuity and determination. "We're not surrendering," Zhao's message concluded, "but we're not destroying you either. We're teaching you what we learned long ago. True strength isn't about perfection. It's about adaptation." The hegemony retreat was called a strategic reassessment, but everyone in the galaxy understood its true meaning. The supposedly invincible crystalline empire had been defeated not by superior firepower, but by microscopic life and the intelligence to use it effectively. In the aftermath, other species studied the battle with a mixture of awe and unease. The humans hadn't just won. They had done so without destroying their enemies, using methods that showcased both their deep understanding of biological warfare and their capacity for mercy. "We didn't just survive Earth's deadliest environments," Zhou later explained to a gathering of alien military observers. "We learned from them. Every poison mushroom, every parasitic wasp, every clever mouse that survived by outsmarting predators. They were all our teachers." The galaxy was learning that humans weren't just warriors or predators. They were something far more interesting, students of life itself, who had taken the harsh lessons of evolution and turned them into an art form. And they were still learning. The Galactic Council's emergency session was interrupted by screams of panic as the Nexus station's primary gravity generators failed. For most species, sudden zero gravity was merely disorienting. But for the crystalline Tellurians, whose bodies could shatter in freefall, it was potentially lethal. "Station stabilization in 3 minutes," the AI announced calmly, seemingly oblivious to the crisis. 3 minutes was too long. The station's rotation would create devastating forces before the backup systems engage. Then the humans arrived. Captain Priya Patel and her emergency response team from the Earth ship Prometheus moved through the chaos with practiced ease. Their bodies, evolved on a high-gravity world with changing seasons and unpredictable environments, were perfectly suited for this crisis. "Remember your zeroed training," Priya called out as her team spread through the chamber. Just like cave rescue ops back home. They moved with the fluid grace that made other species think of predators, but today that same efficiency was being used to save lives. The humans reached the floating Tellurians first, using their bodies as living shields to protect the crystalline beings from impacts. Their thermal regulation systems, the same ones that once helped them chase prey to exhaustion, now helped them maintain the precise temperature the Tellurians needed to prevent stress fractures. "Humanity's greatest strength isn't their predatory nature," Ambassador Kuxler of the Meridian Collective observed as she watched them work. "It's their ability to repurpose it for protection." The crisis revealed something that would change the galaxy's perception forever. Humans weren't just efficient at violence, they were efficient at everything they chose to master. The same pattern recognition that made them deadly hunters also made them exceptional problem solvers. In the days that followed, human engineers redesigned the station's gravity systems, incorporating redundancies inspired by Earth's ecosystems. Nature never relies on a single point of failure, explained Chief Engineer Jamal Hassan. Every critical system needs backups, just like how plants have multiple ways to spread their seeds. But the real breakthrough came when the humans tackled a problem that had plagued spacefaring civilizations for millennia: the isolation of deep space travel. Other species required extensive psychological conditioning to handle the void between stars. Humans, it turned out, had been preparing for this challenge throughout their entire history. Our ancestors survived ice ages in caves, crossed oceans in tiny boats, and lived through months of darkness at the poles. Dr. Isabella Santos explained to the council, "We've been adapting to isolation and confinement since before we had written language." Human solutions began transforming space travel. Their ship designs incorporated gardens and communal spaces, understanding that social bonds and connection to living things were crucial for long-term survival. Their experience with Earth's varying environments led to revolutionary improvements in life support systems. The Zalaxians, who had once feared human predatory instincts, now sought them as instructors for their exploration teams. The Meridians, whose technological advancement had bred over-specialization, studied human adaptability with growing admiration. "Watch how they teach," Admiral Vexthor instructed his junior officers. "They don't just show you how to do something. They help you understand why it works." Every solution comes with a story, usually about how they learned it the hard way on Earth. Even the hegemony, still recovering from their humbling defeat, sent observers to learn from human emergency response teams. They found that the same species that had so effectively undermined their perfect crystals could also teach them how to make their technology more resilient. The turning point came during the Cascade Crisis, when a chain reaction of failing quantum gates threatened to isolate hundreds of systems. While other species focused on the quantum mechanics of the problem, humans approached it from an unexpected angle. "It's like a forest fire," Lieutenant Commander Thomas Running Bear explained, drawing on his family's centuries of experience in environmental management. "Sometimes you have to let parts of the system fail in a controlled way to save the whole." The solution they proposed was radical, deliberately collapsing certain gates to create fire breaks in the quantum network. It went against all conventional wisdom, but it worked. The crisis was contained, and the humans' reputation for unconventional problem-solving grew even stronger. "They see connections we miss," a Meridian scientist admitted. "Where we build systems based on theoretical perfection, they build them based on practical survival. Their solutions aren't always elegant, but they're incredibly robust." As fear gave way to respect, humanity found itself in an unexpected position. They were no longer seen as the galaxy's Boogeymen, but as its innovators and protectors. Their predatory past had given them tools that, in the right hands, could build rather than destroy. "Every human trait that terrified you," Ambassador Rashid told the Council, "evolved because it helped us survive. And survival, we've learned, is about more than just fighting. It's about adapting, learning, and helping others do the same." The shadows that humans cast across the stars were changing shape, becoming not a source of darkness, but of shelter. The distress signal cut through space like a desperate scream. On the bridge of the Earth Defense Force flagship Nightwatch, Fleet Admiral Zara Ibrahim watched as the data streamed in. A previously unknown species had achieved their first faster-than-light jump, emerging right in the path of a quantum storm. "Their shields won't hold," reported Lieutenant Commander Rajpatal. "They're not even using proper containment fields. It's practically a prototype drive." 20 years ago, the galaxy would have written off such a primitive vessel as a tragic but inevitable loss. But that was before humanity had transformed interstellar culture with their peculiar obsession with protecting the vulnerable. "Launch rescue operation," Ibrahim ordered, her voice carrying the calm authority that had become characteristic of human commanders. "Remind all crews, For them, this is first contact. Let's make it count. The Night Watch's response team moved with practiced precision. The ship's sleek black hull, designed to absorb virtually all forms of energy, slipped through the quantum storm like a shark through rough waters. Other species still found the vessel's appearance intimidating. It looked like a predator's shadow given physical form. But its purpose today was salvation, not hunting. Broadcasting in all known first contact frequencies, Communications Officer Hikaru Tanaka announced, including the mathematical sequences we used during our own emergence. The rookie species' response was a burst of panicked transmissions. Their sensors, primitive as they were, had just detected a ship larger than anything they had ever imagined, painted in the darkest material they had ever seen, cutting through a storm that was tearing their own vessel apart. "They're afraid of us," Ibrahim noted with a hint of irony. "Just like everyone used to be. Tactical, prepare for emergency quantum envelope extension. Let's show them what humanity's shadows are really for." The Night Watch's quantum fields, originally developed for stealth operations, expanded to encompass the failing vessel. Within the protective envelope of humanity's most advanced technology, the primitive ship's crew experienced their first moment of true interstellar contact. "We mean you no harm," Ibrahim transmitted in the mathematical language of space. "We are the Shadow Guardians. Welcome to the galaxy." That rescue operation marked a symbolic culmination of humanity's journey from feared outsiders to essential protectors. The same traits that had once terrified other species, their adaptability, their predatory efficiency, their ability to thrive in hostile conditions, had become the foundation of a new role in galactic society. The Galactic Defense Force, under human leadership, had transformed from a loose coalition into an effective protection agency. Human persistence hunting instincts proved perfect for search and rescue operations. Their pattern recognition abilities revolutionized early warning systems. Their capacity for violence was channeled into defending the defenseless. "Humans understand vulnerability in a way we never could," High Chancellor Vexthor explained to the Council during the 20th anniversary of First Contact. "They evolved as both predator and prey, hunters and hunted. They know what it means to be weak, to be afraid, to need protection. And they never forgot those lessons." The galaxy had changed. The shadows the humans cast were no longer feared but sought after. Young species looked to Earth as a model of resilience and adaptation. Ancient civilizations studied human history for lessons in overcoming seemingly impossible odds. When the Void Lords emerged from intergalactic space 5 years later, humanity's transformation proved its ultimate worth. The entities, composed of dark matter and negative energy, were immune to conventional weapons and defied known physics. They should have been unstoppable. But they had never encountered humans before. "The thing about shadows," Admiral Ibrahim transmitted to the combined fleet, "is that they only exist in relation to light, and humans have always known how to find light in darkness." The defense of the galaxy that followed would be remembered for millennia. Humans used their understanding of predator psychology to predict the Void Lord's movements. Their expertise in adaptation led to new weapons based on manipulating light itself. Their instinct for protection turned every defeat into a lesson, every retreat into an opportunity to save more lives. When the Void Lords finally withdrew, they left behind a galaxy fundamentally changed. Species that had once feared human nature now understood its true value. The shadows that humans cast across the stars weren't signs of darkness, but of vigilance, a predator's watchful gaze repurposed to guard rather than hunt. "We were wrong about humans." The original Zalaxian contact report was officially amended. "We saw them as the galaxy's ultimate predators, but that wasn't quite accurate. They are the galaxy's ultimate survivors, and they will teach anyone willing to learn how to survive alongside them." The humans had found their true place among the stars, not as conquerors or monsters, but as guardians who understood both strength and weakness, both fighting and protecting, both shadow and light. They remained the galaxy's boogeymen, but now they were the monsters that scared away worse monsters, the shadows that sheltered rather than threatened, the predators who had chosen to protect. And the galaxy was safer for it.